Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to talk about Lee Daniels, who is planning to turn the awesome movie Waiting to Exhale by Terry McMillan and turn it into a TV series. So for the past week or two, I have been reading this book called I Almost Forgot You, which was also written by Terry McMillan. I think it came out maybe 4 years ago. I threw it on my to-be read pile and finally took it off. And so normally I can sit down and read a good book in about 2 days, but I have been reading this like a chapter a night, and I'm finally down to probably the last 30 or 40 pages, and I'm feeling some kind of way about it. And so I logged on to Twitter because when I was in California recently, I had made this little, like a 9-second video clip for Instagram. And I was like, it made it look like the book was actually in the water and the waves were moving kind of slow. And so I was going to post that on Twitter with, a little message like, not sure how I'm feeling about this book. Maybe I need to give it up and move on to Terry McMillan's newest book. But the first post that I saw on Twitter was from Terry McMillan. And so she was saying, so Waiting to Exhale, and she has Waiting to Exhale in all caps, is going to be a TV series produced by Lee Daniels. Attica Locke and Tim B. Locke are writing. Anthony Hemingway will direct. I lucked out. So, of course, people were congratulating her. They were saying what an awesome thing this is. They're excited. They can't wait until the TV show comes out. But those of us who are writers and in the writing community, we were like, okay, pump your brakes here, because that I lucked out made it seem as though Terry wanted to be a part of this project, and maybe she wanted to be a writer or a director or an executive producer on this project, and she wasn't selected to do it. And so that kind of made us like stand back and say, okay, well, what's going on? This isn't like you're turning a book into a movie, and usually the person who wrote the book isn't a part of the entire project. They might come on as executive producers to help direct and keep the authenticity of the book flowing into the movie. But you're talking about a TV series, which means that it could last, for several seasons. And if Terry wanted to be a part of the project, I'm wondering why Lee Daniels wouldn't have selected her to be a part of the project, because who better to write about this story than the person who actually wrote the actual book. So let's go ahead. I tried to do some research to see what was going on, and all I could come across was an article on essence.com, and it is very short. And it says, Waiting to Exhale, the book about 4 friends on the quest to find true love, is coming to television. So Waiting to Exhale is going to be a TV series. Terry McMillan wrote on Twitter. McMillan is the author who penned the New York Times bestseller novel in 1992. The book was first turned into a film in 1995 and starred the late Whitney Houston, Angela Bassett, Loretta Devine, and Layla Rashawn. It was directed by Forrest Whitaker and was celebrated for showing the power of sisterhood and granting young black women the on-screen complexity we deserve. And you guys know that the soundtrack for Waiting to Exhale was off the charts. It included Brandy's Sitting Up in My Room, Exhale, which everybody knew as Shoop Shoop song, that was performed by Whitney Houston, and then the signature song that became every woman's anthem. Every woman who had ever been done wrong by a man, Not Gonna Cry. Okay, that was our song after Waiting to Exhale came out. And so that actually that soundtrack, I believe, paved the way for so many movies and black movies and black television shows that showcase music, where music is so important to the story that's being told. Like Love and Basketball had a great soundtrack. Being Mary Jane had a great soundtrack. Any show that comes on like their serious dramas like Queen Sugar, Greenleaf have awesome soundtracks. Insecure, Issa Rae show on HBO is also known for its soundtrack. And so all of that got it started, I believe, when Waiting to Exhale came out. And so the article goes on to say, for the new iteration, Lee Daniels, who also did Precious and Empire, will handle production. And then Emmy winner Anthony Hemingway of Underground and Treme fame will direct. The writers are Houston-born sisters Attica and Tembe Locke. Attica recently wrote Little Fires Everywhere. And guys, that was a really good TV show. Are they called TV shows when they come on those apps like Netflix and Hulu? Anyway, if you haven't seen Little Fires Everywhere, it was really, really good. So it appears that Lee Daniels has assembled a really good cast. Like, we can't take anything away from these people that he is going to have working on this project with him. But it still begs to differ, what did that "I lucked out" mean that Terry wrote on her Twitter? And so if, like I said earlier, if she wanted to be a part of the project, why wasn't she selected? More may come out about the story as we go on. And so my question to you guys, before I get to my questions, it also came out that Golden Girls, which starred 4 white women, is supposed to be being remade, and it is going to have a all-black cast on that show. So I'm wondering if Lee Daniels is trying to compete with that project, by wanting to turn Waiting to Exhale into a TV show, because people have tried to duplicate the whole sister friend theme. The 4 friends get together and go through all these changes in life, but they still have this bond together. I think when it comes to TV shows, only Living Single, they were very successful at it. Girlfriends was pretty good, but other than those 2 shows, Issa Rae show is pretty good on HBO. But it seems like everybody wants to try to recreate that, and it's really, really hard to do, as we see right now with Tyler Perry and his show Sisters, or Sisters with an A. That show has so much potential, but the writing is just terrible, and the acting isn't that good either. And it also came out in the news this week that Tyler Perry has decided, he writes and produces all his stuff, writes and direct. And so now he's supposed to be creating a writer's room, and he's going to hire more writers and more directors to help him with his shows. And so we are very appreciative of that, Tyler Perry. So into my questions that I was going to ask is, how do you think this, turning this movie into a TV show is going to play out? Because, the movie came out in 1995. It was based on a book written in 1992. So is he going to pick up where the story left off in 1995? Are we going to be in 2020 with the cast, well, not the same cast, but the same characters at the age that they would be today? So they would be 25 years older. I think they were in like their late 20s, early 30s in the movie. So will they be like in their 50s today on this TV show? Or is it going to be like a real adaptation where you take the story, but then you rework it with a whole new cast? And so will it be the same story, but from a 2020 perspective, with the actresses being in their late 20s, early 30s. And if he goes that route, does that mean that he is trying to compete with Tyler Perry's sisters instead of this Golden Girl remake that's supposed to be coming out? Let me know what you all think. Leave your comments below, rate the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.